मेरा मिशन सिर्फ एक है कि आप स्टडीज को, बायोलॉजी को एंजॉय करो, उससे डरो नहीं। एंड बायोलॉजी शुड गिव यू हैप्पीनेस। Hello, my name is Pradeep and welcome to another video. For those who are new to this channel, previously I made a video on the scientific method. If you have not seen that video, I suggest you to watch that video. This channel is for you to become a scientist. इसीलिए we will learn every concept, every topic, every concept through the scientific method. इससे आप सिर्फ एग्जाम्स के लिए ही नहीं, बट जो भी आप लर्न करोगे उसको अपनी प्रैक्टिकल लाइफ में अप्लाई कर पाओगे। सो लेट अस बिगिन एक्सप्लोरिंग। अभी जो हमने देखा दैट वाज आवर ऑब्जर्वेशन, जो कि साइंटिफिक मेथड का फर्स्ट स्टेप है, दैट इज टू ऑब्जर्व, टू आइडेंटिफाई द प्रॉब्लम। वी जस्ट सॉ द प्रॉब्लम और यू कैन से मिस्ट्री, जिसको हमको सॉल्व करना है। सेकेंड स्टेप इन द साइंटिफिक मेथड इज बैकग्राउंड रिसर्च, जहाँ पे हम फैक्ट्स एंड थियरी को पढ़ेंगे, जो साइंटिस्ट ने डिस्कवर किया था वो हम देखेंगे। Our problem is जो flowers हैं वो बहुत तेजी नंबर से बढ़ रहे हैं, but you should think there is a question that how are they doing so? कैसे new flowers इतनी जल्दी they are growing, they are becoming so much in number. Just like हमने questions पूछे, वैसे ही एक टाइम पे scientists they also asked questions. उस टाइम पे they wanted to know कि how different plants they were growing, they multiply, they grow in number, and they wanted to know कि एक प्लांट इतने सारे प्लांट बना। तो ये पता लगाने के लिए उन्होंने प्लांट्स को इन डिटेल स्टडी करना शुरू किया, जस्ट लाइक दे डिड एट दैट टाइम। आज हम भी करेंगे। तो फॉर टुडे वी ऑल आर साइंटिस्ट्स, वी आर प्लांट बायोलॉजिस्ट। प्लांट बायोलॉजिस्ट आर दो साइंटिस्ट जो कि प्लांट्स को स्टडी करते हैं। तो आज के लिए वी आर आल्सो साइंटिस्ट्स एंड हम उस मिस्ट्री को सॉल्व करेंगे। इन द प्रीवियस वीडियो हमने देखा द मेल रिप्रोडक्टिव ऑर्गन्स of a flower. अब if there are male reproductive organs, there would be female reproductive organs too. तो अब हम female reproductive organs को in detail study करेंगे। बट उससे पहले हम एक बार जल्दी से parts of a flower देख लेंगे जिसमें the female reproductive organs are found. So this is a flower. This is the LS of the flower, मतलब longitudinal section of a flower. Starting from the blue, this part is known as the thalamus. उसके ऊपर if we see this burst part, this round and burst part, this is known as the ovule. And then these leafy structures, these are known as sepals. उसके बाद as we move upward, these bigger structures, these are known as petals, जो भी different types of varieties, different types of colors के होते हैं। Coming to the inside of the flower. Inside the flower, ये जो structures आपको दिख रहे हैं, these long structures, these purple structures, these are known as, this is the stamen. These are the stamen. Then coming to the center part, ये वाला जो long structure you can see from starting from here to here, this hole is known as the pistil. And ये जो अंदर में ovary के अंदर में this green structure जो भी present है inside the ovary, it is known as the ovule. To know in detail about the different parts of a flower, you can watch my previous video जिसमें I have discussed about the parts of the flower in detail. The male reproductive part of the flower is the stamen, and the female reproductive part of the flower is this, which you can see in the center. This is known as the pistil. So the pistil is the female reproductive organ of the plant, which is present inside the flower. अब हम इस pistil को जो center में present है, अब हम इसको in detail देखेंगे. There is a term which is used to represent the female reproductive organs in a plant. and that term is known as the gynoecium. It represents the female reproductive part of the flower. It means that all the female reproductive parts in a flower, it is collectively known as the gynoecium. Basically, for example, a group of cows, a group of elephants, they are known as herds. Herds of elephants, herds of cattle, or group of sheep is known as a flock of sheep. The group of bulls is known as pack of bulls. वैसे ही gynoecium is collectively the female reproductive parts of a flower. Just like scientists ने study करा था about the pistil, वैसे ही हम भी अब pistil को study करेंगे. So this is a pistil, and the pistil has three main parts. We start from the up. This structure which you can see, this is known as this terminal portion, मतलब सबसे ऊपर वाला portion. This part is known as the stigma. Then is a long structure. This is known as the style. And then coming down, this structure, this is known as the ovary. All these parts, they have specific functions. Stigma, इसका main function है that it acts as a landing platform for pollen grains. मतलब it is like a platform जिसपे the pollen grains after maturation they come and they land on this stigma. मतलब these are the pollen grains. They come and land over this structure, over this platform, which is the stigma. इसका एक और function है that it decides the compatibility of the pollen grain. इसका मतलब है if there is a pollen grain and if that pollen grain will be accepted or not, it will be decided by the stigma. Then the next part is the style. It is a long elongated structure and it connects both the stigma, it connects stigma and the ovary. It connects the stigma and the ovary. That's like a bridge. Then the ovary. The ovary, it is the basal swollen part of the pistil. मतलब कि it is the basal. मतलब it is present at the base of the pistil and swollen. मतलब कि it is a round-like structure. When scientists were studying the pistil, उनको ये पता लगा that ovary has something special, something important, just like in the anther. जिसकी वजह से reproduction would be possible, and it was the pollen grain. वैसे ही in female reproductive organ, scientists they found out that the ovary it has something important. It has something important. जिसकी वजह से the reproduction process it would be complete. So it is the basal and swollen part of the pistil. Now we have to focus inside the ovary. मतलब अब हम ovary के inside के जो structures हैं वो हम देखेंगे. क्योंकि यहीं पे that important thing it is present. So इस ovary को अब हम थोड़ा in detail देखते हैं. This ovary it has a cavity. It has a space. इसके margins if you can see ये वाला यहाँ से this whole space जहाँ पे these structures are present. This is the ovarian cavity. इन्हीं इस cavity के अंदर ही this ovarian cavity इसी के अंदर ही there are small chamber like structures. There are small छोटे sections या खाने. These are present inside the ovarian cavity. There are chambers or locules. They are also called as locules. These small structures which you can see, ये जो छोटे round structures हैं, these are known as ovules. अब आपने notice करा होगा कि मैंने इसको underline करा. क्यों underline करा? We will know this very soon. अब ये जो ovules हैं, these are connected through a structure. जैसे कि we have seen grapes. तो grapes होते हैं, they are connected to one single stem. वैसे ही these ovules they are also connected to this main tissue, and this is known as the placenta. Placenta it bears the ovules. अब ये जो ovary है इसमें there are so many ovules, but this is not necessary. If there is one ovule in an ovary in plants like wheat, mango, paddy, etc. And there can be more than one ovules. more than one ovules or several ovules in plants like papaya, watermelon. ये जो ovules है यही further आगे जाके they become the seeds. So in plants like wheat, mango में you must have seen that a single big seed that is nothing but the ovule. And अगर आप papaya खाते हो या watermelon खाते हो उसमें you must have seen there are so many seeds. So it has many ovules. Thus it has many seeds. Now before moving further, there is a very important thing which you must know. There is a confusion faced by many students. In fact, मुझको भी ये confusion था. Most of us, we do not understand the meaning of two words. The two words are carpel and pistil. You will read in many places that they are the female reproductive organs. And yes, they are the female reproductive parts. But there are some differences. इसको समझना बहुत important है. पहले हम इसको एक very simple example से समझ लेते हैं. जैसे this is a hand and it has 5 fingers. Pistil and carpel भी इसी की तरह है. 5 fingers as they are different in numbers. They are the carpels. And the hand which is one, it is the pistil. Where there is one finger in the whole hand, so we will say that the pistil it contains one carpel. If there are 2 fingers in the one single hand, then we will say that the pistil it contains 2 carpels. So there can be different number of carpels. So we can say that the carpel is the single unit of the female reproductive organ in a flower. Now let's see the differences between a carpel and a pistil. Is the female reproductive unit. It is the main unit of the flower. ठीक है? But the pistil, it is a collective term for carpels It is the collective term for all carpels in a flower. मतलब कि there can be more than one carpel, and those group of carpels will be known as the pistil. Then अब ये जो हमने देखा this pistil, it has a single carpel. This whole structure is a carpel. So there is a single carpel in this pistil. The carpel it consists of sigma, style and ovary. ये जो parts हैं जो just we saw, these are the part of the carpel. And the pistil it may have more than one carpels. मतलब कि pistil is a collective term जिसमें कि there can be more than one carpels. Carpels it produces ovules and helps in fertilization, which is the main step of the sexual reproduction. And the pistil, it functions. We can say that it functions as the entire, मतलब कि पूरा female reproductive organ. Pistil, it represents the entire female organ. जिसमें कि there are carpels can be more than one. In many books, it is not clarified the difference between a carpel and a pistil, but you should know the difference between carpel and a pistil. There are some classifications on the number of pistils and the type of pistils a flower might have. तो पहले हम देखेंगे the number of, depending on the number of pistils. Number of pistils. If there are one pistil, then it would be known as monocarpellary. Mono मतलब one, carpellary मतलब carpels. One carpel means there would be one pistil. If there are more than one pistil, it will be known as carpellary. It will be known as multi-carpellary. Then second, depending upon the type of, depending on the types of crystal. Now, if these carpels they are fused together, मतलब कि अगर वो एक साथ जुड़े हो, they are fused together, they are known as syncarpous. And if they are not fused together, they are present separately. They are present separately. They would be known as apocarpous. अब इन्हीं टाइप्स को इन डिफरेंट एग्जांपल्स में देखेंगे. So first we have hibiscus. इसमें अगर आप देखो यहाँ पे there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are 5 carpels in this whole pistil. So यहाँ पे it would be penta मतलब 5 carpellary. It would be called pentacarpellary depending on the number of carpels. And if we see that these carpels they are fused together, so they would be syncarpous. And इसके parts होंगे that this is the stalk. These are all the stigma. This is the basal part, which is the ovary. Next example is the flower of papaver. This is the stigma, which is at the top. अब ये जो papaver flower है, it is a very strange flower. ये जो flower है, ये देखने में भी बहुत interesting है. At the top जो stigma है, it is fused. The disc shaped structure. ये जो whole disc shaped structure है, this is the stigma. And ये जो part है, इसके अंदर there is a fused ovary. मतलब कि अलग-अलग ovary ना होके there is a single ovary and it is fused. And we can say that it is syncarpous ovary. It is fused. And this small structure, it is the style. It is the style. And इसमें जो style है वो hibiscus flower की तरह लंबा नहीं है. It is very short. Now if we classify, यहाँ पे there are many carpels. यहाँ पे बाहर से ऐसा लग रहा है there is one carpel, but ऐसा नहीं है. There are many carpels. So it would be multi-carpellary. And as they are fused, they are syncarpous. It is syncarpous. So the papaver flower is syncarpous and multicarpellary. Next is the flower of Michelium. This is another strange flower. यहाँ पे these structures अलग हैं and not fused together, but they are actually separate. They are separately present. These are the carpels, or these are the free carpels. These are the free carpels. So if there are free carpels, it would be apocarpous, and there are so many carpels, so it will be multicarpellary. Different flowers have different types of the gynoecium. They can have many carpels, they can have one carpel, can be fused, or it can also be free. अब जैसे the scientists discovered more, उनको और curiosity. How does this process happen? So during their investigation, they found that ये जो structures है, which are the ovules, these ovules are very important. These ovules are important क्योंकि इसी में there is something which is very important and special, जिसकी वजह से ही the reproduction it will be complete. So हम भी उन्हीं की तरह we will see the structure of this ovule in detail, and also remember that we are scientists, we are plant biologists. तो उसी के हिसाब से we will move further. This is the structure of an ovule. अब हम इसके एक-एक parts को देखेंगे. अब यहाँ पे there are two diagrams as you can see. This one is the NCERT diagram, and ये वाला जो diagram है it is a bit more detailed. तो हम दोनों के ही साथ-साथ में देखेंगे. Starting from here, from the outermost layer, this and this structure which you can see, this is known as the funicle. This is known as the funicle. This is the funicle. ये जो funicle है, it is attached to the placenta. उसके बाद, then this structure, if you can see, which connects the ovule and the funicle, it is known as the hilum. This structure is known as the hilum. It connects the placenta जो कि यहाँ पे होगा placenta with the whole ovule. It is a stalk-like structure, मतलब it is a long structure. Thus जो hilum है, it is a junction. It is a junction between the funicle and the ovule. Between the funicle and the whole ovule, it is a junction. This green line which you can see, ये जो green line है, it is the vascular strand. This is not in the NCERT, but it is important क्योंकि ये जो vascular strand है, its main role is to supply food, to supply nutrients and nourishment to the ovule. These structures, ये जो है 1, 2, 3, ये जो structures है, these structures are covering this middle part. These are known as integuments. Similarly, यहाँ पे भी this is the outer integument and this is the inner integument. What it is doing is, ये जो central part है, it provides protection, it provides a covering. But ये जो integuments हैं, if you notice, they are all around this middle part. But ये यहाँ पे they are absent क्योंकि यहाँ पे there is an opening, मतलब it is an open passage, which is known as the micropyle. अब ये जो बीच का important, this is actually a mass of cells, मतलब यहाँ पे there are many cells, and this is known as the nucellus. ये जो central वाला यहाँ पे part है, this is known as the nucellus, and यहाँ पे जो opening है, this is the micropyle. Nucellus, it can be very thin or it can be quite massive. अब ये जो end है, यहाँ से the integuments have formed. So this is the chalaza. This is known as the chalaza. यहाँ पे भी this is the chalaza. अब you must have heard about two terms, North Pole and South Pole. ये poles are extreme points which are present at two different ends. जैसे कि Earth है, उस पर there is a North Pole and there is a South Pole. So these are two different and two extreme points which are present opposite to each other. Similarly, यहाँ पे अगर हम देखेंगे this part, this is the chalazal end or chalazal pole, and this is the micropyle or the micropyle pole. वैसे ही यहाँ पे भी similarly chalazal pole and micropyle pole. Coming back to the nucellus, you would remember I was saying that there is something very important and very special. जिसकी वजह से reproduction it would be possible. It plays a very important role, and that special structure, this structure, जो बिल्कुल बीच में present है, this is known as the embryo sac, जिसमें कि the female gametes will be formed. ये जो embryo sac है, it is very important. अगर इसकी development, इसकी nutrition proper ना हो, then the plant will not be able to reproduce. So इसी की वजह से this nucellus, which is a huge mass of cells, it contains food reserves, it contains food material, there is nourishment and nutrition which is provided to this embryo sac, so that इसका proper development. This ovule which you see, the micropyle region, it is pointing downwards. So ऐसा नहीं है कि every ovule is like this. Different ovules are of different types, which are as follows. So this is an anatropous ovule, same as this. This is an anatropous ovule. अब हमको पता चला कि embryo sac, important structure. We should be curious. What is this embryo sac? How does this embryo sac it forms? कैसे ये embryo sac बनता है? अब हम देखेंगे how does this embryo sac it is formed. अब टाइम में थोड़ा पीछे चलते हैं. Let's time travel a bit back in time. अब हम उस टाइम पे पहुंचे हैं जहाँ पे the ovule is developing. The ovule is not mature; it is still in the developing phase. हमने देखा ovule में there are two poles, micropylar pole and the chalazal pole. तो ये जो upward वाला portion है, this is the micropylar pore. Similarly, ये सारा this is the micropylar pore. अब ये जो structure you can see, this is the nucellus. This is the nucellus, the developing nucellus. अब starting में ये जो nucellus है, इसमें there is a cell, a single cell. This single cell, and this single cell is the megaspore mother cell or MMC. This is the megaspore mother cell. ये एक ही cell present होती है in the nucellus. This megaspore mother cell, it has very dense cytoplasm or very thick cytoplasm and a prominent nucleus. अब next what happens is ये जो megaspore mother cell है, it undergoes division. Which type of division? Meiosis, not mitosis. Meiosis. So this megaspore mother cell, it undergoes meiosis. It undergoes meiosis, that is reduction division, and it forms, and पहले it forms two cells. So these two cells can be called as megaspore dyad. Dyad मतलब two, dyad, two cells, and this is the nucellus. This is the nucellus. Next, these two cells, they divide again meiotically, and finally each cell produces two more cells. So there are four cells which are produced. ये जो arrangement है, this is a linear arrangement. Linear मतलब in a single line. So this is a linear arrangement. अब ये जो final cells बनी, these are called as megaspores. And since meiosis में what happens is it is the reduction division, जिसमें the chromosome sets they are half. So the ploidy of all these cells, it would be N, that is haploid. So all these cells, these four cells, they are haploid. And since these are four cells, so these are the megaspore tetrad. Tetrad is the fourth, and there are four megaspores, so it is the megaspore tetrad. So this whole process of formation of megaspores from the megaspore mother cell is called Megasporogenesis. इसके बाद क्या होगा? The three cells, they would degenerate, they would get used up, or they would be eliminated. And usually जो मेगास्पोर है, that is at the chalazal end. तो chalazal end वाला जो cell है, मेगास्पोर है, it usually survives, remains functional, and all these three megaspores they degenerate. अब next देखेंगे this one megaspore cell. What happens with this one megaspore cell? This is that functional. So this is that functional megaspore. What happens is ये जो cell है, it enlarges, it grows big in size. अब इसका जो nucleus है, it undergoes mitotic division. So in the first mitotic division, this nucleus, it becomes two. एक nucleus से it becomes two nucleus. ये जो megaspore है, what will happen? It will finally form the embryo sac, जो हमने देखा, which was the important thing. So we can call this as two nucleate embryo sac. इसके बाद also notice that ये जो nucleus जब divide हुआ, they move to extreme sides or extreme poles. What happens is ये जो two nuclei हैं, they divide further. One single nuclei, it becomes two. So there will be total four nuclei. एक से दो. So we call it four nucleate embryo sac. And यहाँ पे the process is mitosis. उसके बाद there is another mitotic division. There is another mitotic division, and ये जो दो cells हैं, इससे there are four cells which are produced. ये जो दो हैं, इससे there would be four. ये जो दो nuclei हैं, इनसे four nuclei will be formed. So two nuclei से there are four nuclei that are formed on each side. So up there will be 8 nuclei. So we call it 8 nucleate embryo sac. 8 nucleate embryo sac. There is one thing which is important to note कि जैसे जैसे the nuclei they are dividing, you will notice that यहाँ पे कोई cell wall नहीं बन रही है, कोई boundary नहीं बन रही है. They are only the nucleus. Only this nucleus it is dividing into many nuclei. But after this 8 nucleate embryo sac, इसके बाद now the cell walls they will be formed. क्योंकि that embryo sac now it will be formed. After this what happens is up there will be cells which will be formed inside this whole developing embryo sac. मतलब cell के अंदर ही cells के अंदर ही cells will be formed. Next is यहाँ से दो nuclei from each poles. This is the micropylar pole and this is the chalazal pole. So एक nuclei from both sides they will come in between. And these would be known as polar nuclei. Two polar nuclei. क्योंकि they have come from the two poles. उसके बाद दो तो चले गए. अब we still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 nuclei. Now what happens is 3 nuclei वो यहाँ पे आ जाएंगे ऊपर at the chalazal end and 3 nuclei they will come here. अब यहाँ पे 3 cells form हो जाएंगी. यहाँ पे cell wall बनेगी and 3 cells form हो जाएंगी. These would be known as synergids. And ऊपर वाला at the chalazal pole ये जो cells होंगी धीरे धीरे they will also form and these would be known as the antipodals. अब हम finally देखेंगे how does this develop further and a final mature embryo sac is formed. There is an important thing that the process of development of the megaspores जो हमने अभी देखा from this one single megaspore, it is known as monosporic development. मतलब कि एक single spore से the embryo sac is going to be formed. The female gametophyte it will be formed. So it is known as monosporic. Mono मतलब one. अब हम देखेंगे in detail the embryo sac. Finally! This is the embryo sac. It is usually oval in shape and it is haploid. And it is embedded in the nucellus towards the micropylar end. अब हम समझेंगे the embryo sac through the division of the nuclei. Starting from the chalazal pole, यहाँ पे there are 3 nuclei. यहाँ पे there are 3 nuclei. These cells they are known as the antipodals. These antipodals they might soon degenerate or take part in absorbing nourishment from the neighboring nucellus cells. Coming to this part. अब यहाँ पे we saw that there are 2 nuclei at the center, which were the 2 polar nuclei. तो यहाँ पे there would be the 2 nuclei. These would be called as polar nuclei. अब नीचे आते हैं towards the micropylar end. यहाँ पे there are 3 nuclei. These 2 cells they are called as the synergids. These 2 cells they have these special thickened structures. These thick structures are known as filiform apparatus. These are known as the filiform apparatus. These are important because we will see further during the process of fertilization there is the formation of pollen tubes. ये filiform apparatus it helps in guiding in the pollen tube to the synergids. अब यहाँ पे if you see this cell which is present at the top, this is the most important cell you can say in the whole embryo sac. It is known as the egg or the female gamete. During fertilization we will see that how the male gamete and the female gamete they fuse. But अभी के लिए let's focus on this. तो ये जो 3 cells हैं, these 3 cells collectively called the egg apparatus. Egg apparatus. This celling is known as the egg apparatus. Now, there is a very interesting thing that will happen. Let's see. We will count the number of cells in the whole embryo sac, and the second, we will count the nucleus. You must be thinking that they both should be the same in number, but is that so? Let us see. पहले count करते हैं the number of cells in the embryo sac. So starting from the above, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. ठीक है, 6 अभी तक. And ये जो सेंटर में है, where the two polar nuclei are present, this whole ये यहाँ से लेके ये पूरा, this is one cell, which is known as the central cell. तो ये भी एक और ऐड कर लो. So how many total हुआ? 1, 2, 3, 4 बड़ा वाला, 5, 6, 7. तो embryo sac can be said as embryo sac. It is 7 cell. ठीक है, 7 cell. So I am thinking most probably the nuclei there also should be 7. क्योंकि 7 हुआ. Let's count. 1. Let's count the nuclei. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. पर यहाँ पे एक और है. मुझे नहीं पता था. It is 8. तो इसका मतलब there are 8 nuclei. क्यों? क्योंकि यहाँ पे 2 nuclei present है. 2 polar nuclei present है. So the embryo sac is 7 celled and 8 nucleate structure. So the embryo sac is 7 celled and 8 nucleate structure. So you see, biology is so beautiful and amazing. जिसमें कि so many interesting things can be seen. Remember about the problem जो हमने शुरू में देखा. Since we are following the scientific method because we want to be scientists, the third step in the scientific method is hypothesis formation. हम भी 1 or 2 hypotheses सोचेंगे based on what we studied till now. One hypothesis could be about the pollen grains. What if those plants which we saw, they are growing because of that pollen grain? My hypothesis is, what if pollen grain is responsible for the growth of the plants. हमने देखा क्या पता what the pollen grain is doing जिससे कि new plants are forming और वो भी इतनी fast. Another hypothesis जो मेरे mind में आई is what if the ovule is producing chemicals or any chemical substances that is responsible for the growth of the plants. तो जैसे कि हमने अभी देखा in the ovules, what if something is happening in the ovules, in the embryo sac? It might be secreting some substances, some chemical substances. जिसकी वजह से new plants are forming so fast. It could be anything. You can think and comment down more hypotheses which you think might be the reason of our problem. हम ऐसी और hypotheses बनाएंगे further in our videos. Remember, we have to find the solution. But wait, this is not the end. Remember, जो हमारी problem थी, उसका अभी भी हमको solution ढूंढना है, जो कि हम अगले episodes में ढूंढेंगे. So this was all for this video. And अगर आपको कहीं भी doubt हो, आप comment में पूछो. And I will emphasize this that you need to ask questions. Think about what you studied, not just कि पढ़ा, notes बनाए, and याद किया and हो गया. नहीं. Think about them, discuss about them, be creative. मेरा मिशन सिर्फ एक है कि आप studies को, biology को enjoy करो, उससे डरो नहीं. And biology should give you happiness. And आप लोग, you become the future scientists. This is all for now. I will meet you in the next video. Until then.